Hello everyone, and welcome to another of our Twitter space session, or should I say X space session? And yeah, so today we will be speaking with the team from Project 79. So basically, Project 79 is a decentralized peer-to-peer marketplace that leverages the power of blockchain technology to offer secure, transparent, and an efficient way to access community-based opportunities. And we have the team already with us, and they're going to be sharing more about the project with us. So if you're just joining us for the first time in any of our sessions like this, make sure to stay till the end of the session, and then when it's time for questions, any questions that you might have that you would like to ask the team, perhaps you could drop it in the comment section, or you could use the request button as I see people doing already, and then we will try to take your question. So yeah, Project 79, if you guys are ready, we can begin.
Yes, GM. Hello, everyone. Yes, we're ready. My colleague David should be requesting to come up as well. There's two of us on this space today.
Okay. It's great to have you here with us. Please, what is your name? I would like to address you by your name. So
Sure. My name's Dylan. I'm the project liaison manager at Project 79.
okay, beautiful. All right. I do not see David yet, but David, if you can hear me, please just use the request button and then I'll approve you to join us. So welcome, Dylan, and I can't wait to get into the project details.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can see David as a listener. He's our contracts manager. He also recently went on a trip down to Mauritania, which is one of our listings that we have on the P79 platform. So excited to go through the project and the various listings that we have available.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's start with an introduction of the team. I'm sure that a lot of the community members listening and maybe potential investors, of course, that's the first thing they want to get to know the team behind the project. So could you give us an introduction of the team, and a bit of background, prior to this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So the team has quite a rich background. It's worth mentioning that Project 79 is a launchpad project of the Hydro Whales Mining Club. So towards the end of the last bull run, we launched an NFT collection. I say we, that is the founding team of Hydro Whales, which is, there's four of them, Adam, there's two Adams, Sam and Anderson. If you go to the Hydro Whales website, you'll be able to see it's a fully doxed team. So they launched the Hydro Whales collection. It's a 10,000 NFT collection backed by Bitcoin miners. That collection sold out after a few months. And the whole premise behind that collection is that not only do we want the treasury for the Hydro Whales being filled up with Bitcoin miners, but we also wanted to launch different brands off the back of it so that if those brands go on to be successful, they would then feed back into the Hydro Whales treasury. So the first one was Project 79. That's the project that we're discussing today. We launched Project 79. We've been active for about a year, just over a year now. And essentially, we're a token marketplace. So we focus on utility tokens, mainly gold. The Project 79, 79 is, the 79th metal on the periodic table is gold. So when you think of Project 79, you should think of gold-backed tokens. So we started off actually with a gold arbitrage model. So users could come onto the platform and stake USDT or USDC. We had contracts in Uganda, and we would buy from artisanal miners. This is actual gold bullion. And then we would export it to Dubai and sell to refineries. The arbitrage that we made, we would share with investors. That model of gold trading and making a arbitrage between the artisanal miners and the refineries we had going on for a year. We had around 13 million in raised funds going through the sacrifice model. It has now closed, so that's been complete. Members have withdrawn their funds or transitioned into the new marketplace model. What we do now, however, is tokenize the actual businesses themselves. So our first listing, for example, is a gold mine based in Uganda. And what their token represents is a stake in their gold their gold reserves that they have under the ground in their mine. So if you buy a Burl token, Burl represents the economic stake of the economic rights in Burl core mining. You get a stake or access to gold underneath the ground. What that translates to is monthly returns. So if you hold a Belcore token, you'll earn a monthly reward, and that reward is generated from mining gold. They own a gold mine in Uganda. Our second listing is called Sahara Star. Sahara Star is an exploration company, so a little bit different. They have licenses, so they own land in Mauritania down in Africa. We've held a lot of AMAs. They have the top geologists on the project. What they're doing is looking for gold on their licenses, and the licenses are massive, the size of London. And they're looking for funding to fund the government processes and the exploration of these land masses. And if they find gold, that's gonna increase the value of these licenses, and then they'll sell it on to a Chinese state mining firm. And the funds generated from that buyout would be shared with investors. So if you were to buy Star Token, which is a listing on Project 79, then the idea would be when Sahara Star gets bought out, you would get a return on per token that you have. Our final listing is called Gold Staking Program, which is just a similar extension of our original sacrifice model. We have gold trading contracts, this time in South America. Essentially the same. We buy from artisanal miners and export not only to Dubai, but various different other countries now, as Project 79 has grown. And if you were to stake into the gold staking program, you would earn a 5% monthly reward, and that's generated again by we have contracts to buy at a certain price in South America, and we export and sell to refineries in different other countries, and that's where the return is generated. As we scale, though, right now we have 3 listings that you can get involved with. As we scale, though, the whole idea is that we could tokenize. We really believe in the future of tokenizing real-world assets. Real-world assets, there's been many reports showing that it's going to grow massively as an industry in terms of tokenization. Project 79 wants to be on the forefront of that by tokenizing gold businesses. So if you think of any gold business on the supply chain, this isn't only mines, it's not only exploration companies, it could be warehouses, it could be jewelry stores. When we talk about tokenizing real world assets, just think of a real world business, and the whole idea is that we want to bring them and onboard them onto the blockchain, and that offers up a lot of benefits, not only for operators, so the people running these businesses, but also for investors who are looking to get involved in opportunities with really good operators. So that's a really broad level of Project 79. Naturally, each project would have specifics that we could discuss, and Project 79 as a platform, as a marketplace, also has a lot of potential to scale and grow. So yeah, there's a lot of places we could take the conversation.
All right. Thank you for that introduction. Honestly, I think that tokenizing traditional, investments, businesses, companies, and all of that is something that is very interesting to me as a Web3, investor. And I believe that I speak for a lot of Web3 investors. Let's take gold, for instance, right? To me, and this is just my opinion, it's something that's a little tricky, and something that if you do not have the right information and you do not invest right, it could go south real quick, right? So the idea of having to tokenize in time, of course, tokenize the asset gold and investment in it is something that to me is really, really, really important because it sort of opens a way for some of us that have been looking to, invest in the asset that is gold, but have found it difficult up until now, right? So that is why, Project 79 is something that I think that is really interesting. Now, let me start by asking, okay, you were going to say something.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, you're absolutely right. That's a major benefit of tokenization. Just to put it into perspective, the gold mine in Uganda, the raise for that was 30 million. And so, we've completed 70% of that, gone on to acquire the mine, equipment and so forth. But if you were an individual investor without tokenization, you would have to be a part of a much bigger deal. You'd have to either raise the 30 million yourself. That would cut a lot of people out. Whereas tokenization gives everyday investors, or even if you are a whale and you want to get involved, then you don't have to take such a big part of your portfolio to dedicate to one gold mine, for instance. So tokenization not only within gold, like what we're focusing on, but even within real estate, like your properties, your rental properties, vacation homes, etc. Just as a whole industry, there's a lot of potential to onboard these assets onto the blockchain, to provide this like secondary market for operators and investors.
Yeah. All right. Let me start by asking, what, or should I say, 79 ensure the security of gold investments, considering this is decentralized environment, and one thing that is consistent with the Web3 space is the fact that it's very, very unregulated. So how does Project 79 investments via the platform?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So that's the beauty of dealing with real world businesses and assets. It's because you have contracts in place. You deal with real people. So if you come over to our profile, you'll see that all of the team is doxed. When we deal with the operators, we bring the issuers and the operators of these gold businesses and token operators onto the platform to run AMAs, fully doxed. We ourselves as a platform would have real world contracts with them in place to say that our platform and said token holders are allocated percentages. And these safety mechanisms are applicable in the real world. Whereas, say, like if you had a DeFi, we've all seen the graveyard of DeFi products where you might have your algorithmic stable coins. Whereas that you purely relying on DeFi alone. Whereas with tokenization of real world assets, you'll have your contracts and everything in place as usual. And the tokenization process is the software that allows us to manage and to track and to distribute and all the benefits of the blockchain.
All right. What would you say? What would you say are the major benefits that Project 79 offers, compared to traditional gold investments?
Well, first of all, it's the ease of access. So your traditional gold, if you think about it right now, you might have to, for example, you'd have to do what we do when we work with operators. You'd have to fly out to a country that's got the minerals. You'd have to set up the right relationships. You'd have to get the equipment, buy the land, work the land. You then have to hire, and you have to handle the whole operation of setting up a mine and what that work comes with. Okay, if you took a more passive and like we spoke about earlier, and you wanted to just invest, usually these would be at higher caps. So it would take a lot more to get involved in these kind of operations, just because of the nature of them, right? So if you think about buying into a gold mine, by the time a lot of investors see this is, say, when the mines and operations list, and by that time, a lot of the gains have been eaten up by the venture capitalists and the private equity guys already. So with tokenization, what we can do, the benefits is you can easily come into a project, say with a minimum of 1,000, and now you own a percentage of the economic rights to a whole gold mine. You're able to then, if you wanted to exit that position, you can do so because it's a token based on the blockchain. You're not capped by the time or day. So if you think about traditionally, if you wanted to sell your position, you might have to get that approved, find the selling end or the buy side, and it's a whole process. Whereas blockchain, and the platform provides that liquidity, so that you can quickly adjust your portfolio. Within, like, if today your portfolio consists of largely real estate based, okay, and you buy a lot of tokens in let's say vacation properties and so forth, and tomorrow you decide, okay, well, actually there's a lot of crisis, economic uncertainty like what there is right now. Gold is usually a safe haven for that, so maybe you want to diversify your portfolio towards more businesses that are exposed to gold, right? And so you would then be able to quickly change your position and move that around. These are just some of the benefits blockchain provides, not only transparency towards who's involved and how the funds are used, etc. We can implement Oracle systems, which we're looking at. But I would say the main thing is just, number one, access. It gives access to a lot of people that wouldn't have had the chance to do so before. And number two, the liquidity. So those are the two main parts. I see we have David on here as well. So David's our contracts manager, by the way. So he deals a lot with Sahara Star at the moment.
All right. I don't know. Is David request? Okay. He's been added. All right. Let me talk just a little bit. And transparency in the Web3 space is something that is vital, to any project. That's why I'm going to ask this. What level of transparency does Project 79 offer, especially regarding the sourcing and authenticity of the gold that we will invest in? I'm saying we because, of course, I'm an investor too. So this is strictly from the perspective of an investor. What level of transparency does Project 79 offer regarding the sourcing and authenticity of the gold being invested in?
Yeah, so we would work with the operators. So Project 79 expertise, our value add to operators is our knowledge of the blockchain and being able to advise them and being able to help them operate within the crypto space. The operators themselves are experts within the gold industry, and so they have a lot of provable experience, track record, years of experience. So we vet the operators that we work with. So, the easiest way to think of Project 79 is, I say it's like a marketplace. Like if you think of any popular marketplaces, like your OpenSea for your NFTs. Except with us, we have a much stringent due diligence process on anyone that could list or start a token listing on our platform. So that's number one. Number two is that we would make sure that the operators are more active than traditional markets. So traditional reporting might be quarterly or an AGM or something like this, but we get we try to get a monthly. In some cases, like with Sahara Star, we get weekly shows from them where they come live and they share their business and explain. They share reports, for example. Some reports can't be shared just because of the nature of the businesses. So, for example, our trading contracts where we're able to source gold for a specific amount, we might not make the specific location available, but we would have audits that would verify the contract amounts that we have per year, for example, that the refineries are receiving the gold, for example. So we try to make as much as we can transparent in that sense, as well as P79 doing our due diligence in the background with our own law team and so forth. In terms of making more transparent, we can do that, and we are working with operators because it's an industry change, right? So crypto markets really like everything out, transparent, everything above in the open. Whereas traditional gold, they don't even have usually websites. They make all of their money offline, right? So, but they're starting to see the value. Like for example, one of the operators we spoke to yesterday said they really, really love the idea of tokenization and P79. And that's the reason why they wanted to list, is because they wanted to get involved in like the younger generation of finance. So they are starting to see the value of blockchain, and that's really awesome to see. And so we're going through that process of making that whole industry transparent. And that's just some of the ways we do it. Other ways are, for example, we're working on integrations with Chainlink to provide Oracle systems, and analytics within our marketplace and so forth. So, but these will be developed over time. Was it just me, or did the space cut out for a bit?
I can hear you, Dylan.
Oh, you can hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, I think the space rugged.
So it's just you and I that are live on here now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you now.
Okay, yes, the space rocked. But it was kind of like a connection issue, probably on my end, because there seem to be the beginnings of a storm here, and it's really messing with the network connection. So sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of, was listening to Dylan answer my last question, but since I got dropped, I really didn't hear the last part of it. But I'm guessing he completed that question.
I'm not sure. We were offline for quite a long time.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Why don't we, Dylan?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure
Can you hear me?
how long we were offline. I can hear you guys. I'm not sure how long we were offline for, or how long I was talking for before
Okay. Okay.
before we got cut off.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. Perhaps we could just pick up from, maybe halfway. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I was talking on tokenization and the benefits of how we make it transparent. I mean, we have a lot of AMAs with the operators themselves, so they come on our shows. We have a weekly show. They would come on our shows from time to time. We would get pictures through from them. So one of our operators, Belcore, they have their own Twitter feed. With Sahara Star, we get more updates from them via AMA. We do get reports from them, and there are some things that we cannot make available just because of the nature. Like, for example, with our gold trading business, the exact location of where we're getting the prices at where we're getting, for example. But we would have legal audits that would verify that the contracts exist, that the amounts for the contracts are there, etc. Because, like I mentioned, there are real world contracts that we have because these are businesses operating IRL. We can have legal contracts in place, and essentially this is what we tokenize. So we would have on IPFS, similar to your NFT structure, would have on IPFS the corporate resolution, so that investors can view any documentation and so forth. In fact, we're going to be launching the full tech stack for the P79 marketplace on the first week of September. So right now you can get into the different projects, you can earn rewards and so forth. But we have a new tech stack which will also allow you to take part in secondary trading, peer-to-peer, as well as have a bunch of analytics features and so forth. So that's coming first week of September. But now that we have David on the space, it might be interesting for him to discuss, because one of the other ways that we try and build relationships with operators and keep things transparent is we send the members of the team to go and view these operations. So in this case, we had David, who went down to Mauritania to see Sahara Star, and we also have a community trip going down to Uganda next month for the Belco mine. So David could tell a bit about his trip and what it's like going to see an operator, live, down, boots on the ground.
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, nice to join you. So yes, Sahara Star is one of the projects that Project 79 are currently assisting with capital fundraise via a token. I was on the ground in Mauritania with the Sahara Star entourage. That was probably 3 weeks ago now. And I met the CEO, Gavin McDonald, the owner of the company, Andy, as well as some of the sort of key parties in the Sahara Star team. Sahara Star, essentially, what they're doing, they are packaging together various licenses in different parts of Mauritania. For those of you that don't know or are not familiar with Mauritania, Mauritania is a very mineral-rich country to the south of Morocco on the west coast of Africa. Very much untapped when it comes to mining. And Sahara Star have 2 licenses in place there, which are both 1,000 square kilometer in size, which, to put into perspective, is the size of London. So 2 areas the size of London. They also have 5 other licenses that are currently under review. So I was there with the guys for just under a week, and very impressed with what I saw. The guys there are very well connected with senior figures in Mauritania, government officials, the ex-minister of mining, some top geologists. One of the geologists that will be an advisor to the board of Sahara Star, a gentleman called Abdel. He was actually the geologist who discovered the Tassiest mining project, which is owned by Kinross, and that's an $8 billion site. So from what I could see, the guys behind Sahara Star are very well positioned to secure the deals that they've had discussions with. I mean, when I was there with them in Nouakchott, which is the capital city of Mauritania, there was a tremendous amount of traffic coming into the hotel, literally back-to-back meetings with mining owners, geologists, people in the industry, other people that own sample test labs. And one of the guys on the team, Andy is very well respected in Mauritania. I could see that because I attended all the meetings with the team, and Andy's got a lot of history, and he's done a lot of good things in Mauritania with the senior guys there. And I can see that the company for sure have got the right contacts and connections that are required to do business in a country such as Mauritania. Yeah. They're expecting to get a geology report back on a very interesting mining site in Selababi. Selababi, we actually flew from Nouakchott the second day down to the south of Mauritania, very close to the border with Senegal and Mali. And there's a belt of land there that stretches literally across the border of the 3 countries. And it's very, very rich in minerals. There's probably around a dozen mining companies already on the ground there with projects at various stages. Now, the owner, Sidi, a guy called Sidi, a very nice guy called Sidi, him and Gavin McDonald, the CEO of Sahara Star, they're very close to signing off on a deal on the Selababi site. I mean, we flew down there in a private jet. There was no expenses spared. We had our own private security team. And Selababi itself, I mean, when we were down there, we got off the private jet. We then had to make our way across land in 4x4s to get to the actual site itself. We came across families panning for gold in rivers very close by to where the site was. We had a good look around the site itself. There was a lot of, the rocks on the surface give a very strong indication as to what's contained underneath. We were there with the geologist that I mentioned that discovered the Tassiest mine, the Kinross site. He was very excited about what he was seeing. And more to the point as well, we actually met with 2 other geologists before we set off down to Selababi, and they all said the same thing about this particular site, that was probably the best area that we had offers for, because as I mentioned earlier, there was numerous parties coming to the hotel. Gavin, Andy, myself, and Raju attended meetings elsewhere, but there was 3 completely independent, completely unrelated parties that all sort of pointed towards this particular site as very much a mineral hotspot, and I'd be very surprised if all these industry professionals are wrong. I mean, we also were connected with a guy down there called George, an Australian guy who's been in Africa for 30 years, not just in Mauritania. He's been all around Africa working for various mining companies. He's a tier one geologist, and he also shared the same opinion on the Selababi site. I think he will be a crucial element for the development of Sahara Star, as him and Gavin McDonald definitely struck up a good rapport on the last night we were there. We went out for some dinner together, and he will be more than happy to assist Gavin and Andy with any advice, anything he can assist with. George is the business development manager of a company called MSA Labs, which is a global gold testing sort of laboratory company. So they will be testing the samples for Sahara Star. And yeah, I mean, Sahara Star, from what I can see, they've got the best connections possible on the ground, which, as I mentioned, is very crucial to getting things done, getting deals signed off, and getting ultimately to where they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, could you perhaps, because that was your trip, I mean, that's part of, because Dave's our contract manager, he goes over to, verify our operators, in Sahara Star, like I mentioned, is one of our listings on our marketplace. So, Dave, what are Sahara Star, like, what are they trying to achieve, though? Like, what's the whole goal behind Sahara Star and them coming onto the platform, from what you could tell?
Yeah, so Sahara Star are one of our newer or most recent additions onto the Project 79 platform. Essentially, Sahara Star, they are looking to acquire what you may refer to as distressed mining assets. So sites that have been explored to some degree, they've ran out of funding to continue drilling, to continue with topology reports and surveys and things like that. So what Gavin, Andy, and Sahara Star are doing are acquiring numerous different licenses in the Mauritania region, particularly in the south, and they will package these licenses together. Gavin has very close connections with the Chinese state government, and Gavin, his ultimate goal is to package together $500 million worth of licenses, and he will then make a deal with the Chinese, who will then come in, do the exploration, the mining, the extraction. So that was the main reason that Gavin and Andy, or the Sahara Star team, were there, was to meet with various mining owners to assess which projects or which sites will be most suitable, which ones represent the most value. And I would say he's very much on course to having sites packaged together that would be of value of 500 million, and then he will do a deal with Chinese state government mining companies. They will come in, which is very common in West Africa. That's generally what happens. There'll be a junior mining company do the exploration, and then a Chinese heavyweight will come in and take it on from there. So ultimately, in the nutshell, Gavin's looking to acquire mining assets, licenses in Mauritania to the tune of 500 million, and at which point he will then sell that to Chinese state government companies.
All right. Thank you, David, for that detailed information. Now, I would like to ask one more question before I take questions
Sure.
from the community, because I see that we have a lot. And that will be about the reward structure. Of course, I imagine that there is a fee structure, reward structure. You have Gold Core, Sahara Star, and all of that. Is it possible to get like a quick breakdown of what the reward structure looks like for these listings individually?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, to address the fees, so it's likely that We recently had a community vote. So the tokens will be launched on Polygon. So the fees in terms of chain fees will be minimal. In terms of our platform fees, it will be 1.5% in the native token. So for example, if you sell a Sahara Star token, which is denotated by star, then the buyer of that token will receive 1.5% less than what they ordered. So that's how the platform fees would work. In terms of the reward structures, you're correct. This would vary from listing to listing because naturally these are different businesses. And so what I would suggest is, first of all, you can go through our profile. You can see a lot of what David's talking about is verifiable. You see pictures, Gavin McDonald's on an AMA yesterday telling us about the trip and so forth. And then with rewards, they would vary. So Sahara Star, you would buy Star token now. There wouldn't be rewards until the point of sale. So when Gavin sells the mining licenses that they've acquired, that liquidity event would be paid out to investors in USDT or USDC. However, there would be a secondary market. So, you could trade the tokens and there might be price action on the token. So, right now a Star token is 60p. But as Gavin announces that they've acquired new licenses, etc., people might get more confident about the buyout, and the price may go up. So you can earn from the price action as well. But the reward mechanism for Star itself is when Gavin sells the licenses and shares that buyout with investors. And so with Belcore, right now, what their reward system is monthly because they're an operational mine. They're mining gold every single month. That creates a monthly revenue. They share that with investors. At the moment, it's ranging between 2 to 3%. From depending on when the investors got into the token sale, because the rewards are calculated per token. So in percentage amounts, it would calculate or convert into roughly 2 to 3%. Our gold staking program is a monthly reward program because that is a trading where we're buying gold bullion from South America and exporting it to refineries. So that's a monthly reward. At the moment, it's doing 5% a month. So there's no token involved in that one. So it's a simple staking mechanism. There's no price action movement on that one. But with Belcore and Star, you could achieve price action. So the price of the token going up. And then, of course, when they reach their revenue goal. So in the case of Sahara Star, it's when they sell the licenses. For Belcore, it's every single month via the mining, the revenue generated from the mining. I think we may have lost our host, but that essentially outlines the platform. What I would suggest is if everyone wants to find out more information about each of these projects, our Discord has a very friendly community. Our moderators are in the Discord there almost all the time. There'll be someone there. The community members themselves, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the space, Project 79 is a launchpad project of Hydra Wells. So there's a lot of the original OG Hydra Wells community that really form the backbone of Project 79. You find them in there, more than happy to answer your questions. They've obviously been in the project for quite a while, so they would be able to give you testimonials, what it's like. Obviously, different operators, different rewards, different communication styles, and then depending on your appetite for each project, you could choose which one, maybe all of them, but you could choose which one best suits your palette or your investment style. While we're still waiting for our host to come back, David, you went over to Mauritania, so you got to verify one of our operators. We also recently dropped a report, mining a report where they went and they did some geology report, so people can go and view that in the Discord. But Dave, Gavin, you heard Gavin speaking yesterday. Gavin, CEO of Sahara Star, he's quite excited about tokenization. If someone's new to Sahara Star, you got to see inside and meet the team. Why do you think it's a good opportunity potentially for people listening in?
Well, yeah, I mean, Gavin's similar background to myself. He's more traditional investment, private equity, corporate finance. I mean, my background, just for your information, guys, is stock market, private equity, corporate finance. I've known Adam Diggian, the founder of Project 79, from our days of trading in London. Many years ago, we've kept in contact. He made me aware of what he was doing with Project 79. I had a look into it. I thought it was a hugely impressive platform, a project that he had undertaken. Adam invited me onto the team fairly recently, and I have been familiarizing myself with the projects, mainly Sahara Star. That's been my main sort of concern or primary concern since I came on board a few weeks ago, as that's the one that's sort of moving forward at the fastest pace. But Gavin, I mean, we all appreciate the way the sort of financial world is moving now. It is moving heavily towards the crypto market, tokenization of assets, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it gives investors that may not have had access to certain investments in the past, it basically opens up the doors to all investors, guys that want to invest a nominal sum of $500, because normally in the private equity sort of world, the minimum you would be able to invest to participate would be a minimum sort of 10,000 US or GBP. So I like it a lot. I also like the fact that it's all very transparent. There's a lot of AMAs and everyone's showing their faces and very passionate and discussing what's happening on the ground. And yeah, Gavin came on yesterday with myself and Dylan to explain to the Project 79 community what had been happening in the background since we all returned from Mauritania. He was also explaining that Andy, who I did mention earlier, is the sort of key element or the key contact in Mauritania. He has been back there. I think he left yesterday, and he's been signing off on more deals in the last week or so. But I mean, essentially, from an investment perspective, I mean, the reason I see Sahara Star as being a very attractive proposition is mainly just down to how well connected these guys are over there. Because as I'm sure most people can appreciate, doing business in these types of countries, such as Mauritania, you do need to have strong connections on the ground to get you to where you need to be. And without that, you'll encounter a lot of red tape, a lot of delays. And, Andy's very friendly with some very senior figures. And after the trip that I was on with the guys, Gavin certainly struck up rapport with some other very senior figures on the ground there, top geologists, the ex-minister of mining, George as well, who's very well respected in the mining industry. And from what I could see, I mean, I was very impressed with how the Sahara Star team conducted themselves in the numerous meetings that I saw them having. Very professional, and they've got a huge drive and hunger to get the deals done that will allow them to acquire the mining assets and licenses that they've set out to achieve. So, from what I can see, it's going to be a very interesting journey, and I can see as well there's a very good chance, it's very likely, they will have all the licenses in place to meet the sort of 500 million investment criteria set out by the Chinese in the not so distant future, not far off at all, because they've already made a lot of headway with numerous different licenses and assets, and I expect they will have a number of licenses packaged together very soon that will accumulate or be the equivalent of around 500 million.
Yeah. I totally love the perspective. I love the idea. Sorry, the other host was having some connection issues due to the storm. So I'll just take over. So I don't know if you have time, we could take some live questions. There are a lot of individuals here who want to ask some questions about Project 79. So if you're ready, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right, great. The first is Bambi. Bambi, you can unmute your mic and ask your question. And please, everyone, make sure you're following the official Twitter handle of Project 79, and make sure you join the Discord. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for bringing me up. Okay, am I audible right now?
Yes, sure you
are. My question is, in my opinion, social media play a big part in to like marketing the projects. So I see your tweet. I'm sorry, your X account is have a. In my opinion, it have a little followers. Do you plan to raise the followers of your X account? I mean, social media play a big part in that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's part of the reasons why we are taking the time, and we want to do more spaces like this. And we do a lot of external AMAs. So initially, our focus was setting up relationships with the operators. And, we had our Hydro Whales community that was working well with us. And now we've realized that, of course, we need to grow that. So, last month we started really ramping out our marketing campaigns. I think it's with our kind of, because we've done a lot of token sales, right, as a project, and which wouldn't be translated to like our Twitter followers. So for example, Belcore, we've sold 70,000 tokens. GSP, there's a million staked. Sahara Star are almost at 1 million raised as well. And so you don't really see that when you look at the number of our followers. But I certainly agree, that social media is important in marketing a modern day crypto operation, and we're certainly going to ramp it up so that it also feeds back into the liquidity of the marketplace.
All right. Great. I think that's pretty much answered his question. That was a really detailed and brilliant answer. Up next we have B. B, you can ask your question now.
Yeah. Good day. Am I audible? Yeah. So
yes,
while going through your website, I discovered the gold staking program. I don't know. Can you actually highlight and talk more about this gold staking program and its APY? I wanted to know also if users will be able to stake to unstake their stake gold at will. And lastly, what is the gold staking duration? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So gold staking, I'll go through your each points that you raised. So the lockup period is 6 months at a time. So it's worth noting, though, you can withdraw your rewards at any time. So, however, your initial sacrifice or your initial stake, would be locked up for 6 months. And then after the 6 months, you could then decide whether you wanted to go for another 6 months or withdraw. What we are looking at doing is reducing the staking periods. But if you think about the nature of the program, what we're doing is we take those funds off chain. We would complete the trades with the artisanal miners, bring the funds back on chain. So it's important for us to know each month the amounts that we'll be able to put into the contracts. So that's why we have to have some kind of lockup periods. But we're looking at potentially options in the future of reducing that to 3 months. However, right now, 6 months, average is 5% a month. They earned 5% last month. And so when you get your rewards, which would be in stablecoin, your rewards you could either put back into the staking program, or you could withdraw your withdrawals. Your rewards are not restricted.
All right, great. Thanks for that wonderful question, and thanks for that wonderful answer. Up next we have Amber. Amber, you can ask your question now.
All right, thank you, Notes, for picking me up. Actually, I want to ask that is there any way we can convert our asset to non-fungible token, and what percentage of gold can we stake? Thank you.
So we don't have it in our roadmap to do any NFTs. We don't see a need to introduce artwork into the projects of yet. They would be fungible tokens. Most of the projects would be across the P79 marketplace. In terms of the staking program, right now we haven't introduced a cap. Our contracts are still, I think we have. I'll need to check our audits about a ton a year. So we're still within our contracted amounts. So we haven't put a cap of yet. So if you wanted to go into the gold staking program, if you're thinking of like extremely large amounts, then you could always open a ticket. But for now, you could just stake at will.
All right. That's great. I believe that's answered her question. Up next we have Blaze. Blaze, you can ask your question now.
All right, thank you very much. Hope you guys can hear me clearly.
Yes.
All right. Project X, Project 79. I love the project name, but my only question is, what is the inspiration behind Project 79? What made you to name the project Project 79? Because the name sounds very interesting on the marketplace.
Yeah, so the name actually came from one of our community members. The Hydrowell Project 79 is a launchpad project from the Hydrowell. So when we introduced the project, we asked the community for name ideas, and Project 79 was one of the suggestions that was given, and that's because gold is the 79th metal of the periodic table, the 79th metal on the periodic table. So Project 79 is quite fitting in that aspect, since our tokens are all to do with gold businesses.
Wow. I think that's great. Project 79 to the moon and to the Jupiter. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Yeah, thanks for that question, please. I also had that question in mind, and I'm really glad someone asked it. Would you like to pick the last person, or do you want me to still pick? Could you do the honor of picking the last person?
It looks like Julian's been waving for a long time, so perhaps we can bring them up if they want to ask a question.
Am I audible, please? Can you hear me? So
Yes, we can hear you.
my question to Project 79 is, I want to know, how does the Project 79 marketplace facilitate peer-to-peer transaction, and what role does the blockchain technology play in ensuring transparency and security?
Okay, so yeah, good question. So we're releasing the secondary marketplace because there's the primary market that's available right now. If you wanted to get into the tokens, the secondary market releases first week of September. So how it works is because I've been involved in a lot of the developer meetings, getting that built and getting it released. So essentially, how that works is that there will be a you can log in. First of all, you'd have to set up your account. It's worth noting, obviously, due to the nature of the tokens, you will have to go through KYC to get access to the platform. Once you go through KYC, your wallet would be whitelisted essentially as a verified KYC wallet. You would then be able to get full access to the marketplace. Within your dashboard, you'd be able to see your portfolio. You'd also be able to see the primary market, so where you could buy the initial token sales. And then there'll be a secondary market tab. We actually released a sneak peek in the Discord today. So on the secondary market tab, when you click it there, if you're a holder of a token, so let's say you hold Burl or Star, you could then essentially post that you want to sell some of your tokens. So it would create a order tab. You would fill in the details, the price you want to sell for, how many tokens you want to sell. It would then create an order that would then be visible. A seller would then click on a buyer, would then click on the secondary marketplace. They scrolling through all of the orders that are up for the token sales. They would click on one, and then they would see the number of tokens, the amount for sale. They'll be able to click on show details. They'll then be able to discuss with the seller the price and go through the negotiations. Because the tokens are on Polygon, they would then send the tokens to the buyer. The buyer would then send the funds to the seller, and the marketplace would track all of this and credit each when it's ready. We don't act as an escrow, so it's all peer-to-peer. And essentially, we act as a billboard or as a tracking mechanism to make sure that all these transactions go through. So essentially, it's account-based. Once you log in, you'll be able to essentially place your tokens for sale or buy other tokens depending on what you want to do.
All right. Thanks a lot for that question, Julian. I think that brings us to the end of today's section. So I don't know, do you have anything we didn't cover and you would like to see it before we wrap up?
I'd just like to say yes. Thanks for having us. Thanks for asking the questions, the ones that did. If any of you have other questions that we didn't answer, feel free to hop over into our Discord, or you can also. We have a Telegram channel if you prefer Telegram. But either way, you can follow our conversations there. Ask us any questions. Feel free to follow our Twitter as well. We post recent updates, live AMAs where you could join in and ask questions there as well. We have Zeely sprints. So if you want to get involved in giveaways and you want to involved in other aspects of supporting the project besides actually buying tokens or investing in projects or listings, then there's other ways that you can get involved too. So I'll just say jump into the Discord and ask the community, what's a good place to start, and they'll point you in the right direction. But that's pretty much all from me. Dave, did you have anything else that you wanted to add in before we go?
Not particularly, Dylan. No, it's been really nice joining the chat with this new community, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon.
All right. Guys, you heard that. Make sure you join their community to actually stay updated, and make sure you follow them on their socials. And lastly, before we go, I would love to ask David in particular, what aspect of Project 79 gives you that chill when you hear it, or when you think of it?
What particular project of Project 79, is that what you're referring to, or?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I think he's just asking what, just anything that gives you chills when you hear about Project 79.
Yeah, as I explained earlier, just the way the whole financial market's moving towards cryptocurrency, the tokenization of assets. It's a very exciting area of financial markets, and that's the main reason that I accepted Adam's invitation to come on board as operations manager of Project 79. So I will be assisting Adam, with due diligence on future potential projects, providing attractive exit strategies on the deals that we currently have, and also the ones we have moving forward. But I have paid more attention to the Sahara Star deal. I was brought into Project 79 a matter of weeks ago. So my sort of main focus has been on Sahara Star, as that's a very fast moving project. Borough Core is a monthly income investment. So that pretty much does as it says on the tin, so to speak. Whereas Sahara Star, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of positive developments about to be announced, and that's been my main focus since I joined the Project 79 team. So really that's the one that's got me most excited, if I'm honest.
That's really brilliant. Thanks a lot for that. We
You're
just said that to the end of today's AMA. Check out for announcements, guys. We'll be having more sections, and we would like to have the Project 79 team come back here again, maybe when there are actually new futures and innovations. You can just come here. All right, thanks everyone. Please keep in mind everything said here is not a financial advice. Make sure to do your own research. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having us.